What's up, everyone? Welcome to Chicks and Salsa. I am Megan Price, and next to me, I got Jen Matthews Lewis, and below me, we got Candy. How are y'all doing today? How's y'all's week?
Good. How about yours?
It's going well. I am changing the privacy on this and sharing it to a couple of places real quick. Is everybody ready for the holidays? Christmas is just a few days away.
Katie, let's take that one.
As ready as I'm going to be. We're down here in Florida. My family's not here. We celebrated it when I was up there kind of earlier this month.
Oh, okay.
So, it's me and my husband, me and Scott. So, but how about you guys, ladies? You guys ready?
So it's going to be kind of lean this year. Everybody knows what I've had going on. So we are just going to do what we normally do. I'm going to make Mexican food. I'm going to make enchiladas, and we're going to watch some sports, and we're going to watch some Christmas movies, and that's about it, probably. Maybe look at Christmas lights. As kids get older, it's different,
It does. It changes. But
So
Jen,
those
are
are
you ready?
Well, I have presents. I have 3 presents. No, actually 5. But 3 of them are for other people, like people outside of my family. I have a present for my husband. I got kind of boned this weekend because I found this ring that I thought was gorgeous, and I went to go get it adjusted to give to my mom for Christmas. But it was so tiny, I didn't notice that it was already an adjustable band. So I'm like, but it's a gorgeous piece of turquoise, and I'm like, I'm still gonna give it to my mom, but not as a Christmas present. So I get to go shopping at Bank of America Stadium tomorrow. Now my bosses know where I'll be at my lunch break. So
all right. So going into our topics, we just wrapped up week 15 of our NFL season. We have 3 games left. I guess let's go through and kind of just talk about our individual teams, and then we'll run through and do everybody else. Candy, you want to start us off?
We are who we thought we were. I mean, we knew we were going to be inconsistent. Did we know that our defense was going to be as bad as it has been lately? There's been a lot of talk. A lot of people want Joe Barry gone. I'm not so sure why we even hired him in the first place, but LaFleur is really good friends with him, from what I've heard. And to his point, like at this point, there's 3 games left. Why really fire him now?
Right, yeah.
It expires the end of the year. So, why do it now? What are you going to gain by giving somebody 3 weeks to try and change what hasn't worked all season? I get it.
I've never understood why any team in any sport, when they come in and they do that prematurely before the season's over, then you still have to pay somebody. You have to pay the person you let go. Right. You also have to pay somebody to come in and step in and do their job. So why would you pay double to not accomplish a thing?
And how are you going to change the defense of scheme for 3 weeks? And quick, have everybody try and learn this new guy, or even the guy that was in there before, even if it's a backup and stuff like that. So, I mean, Jordan Love is playing very inconsistent. He does have young receivers, and to be completely honest, we didn't have AJ Dillon, our second running back. Jones was back, but we didn't have Christian Watson, our first wide receiver, either. So we've played with a lot of injuries and young players as well.
I know why. Because y'all are playing us next weekend. So you needed an excuse for when we screw up and win, just to take the number 1 spot from you, Jacob Christner. From you and your stupid Bears.
We are still.
Well, I mean, looking at the stats, though, Jordan didn't play terribly. 29 of 39, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's not awful. It's not a super standout game. Now, and had there been a game, if Baker Mayfield hadn't been leading this team, I would have said that, y'all probably had a chance to win that. But some random stat that came out of this matchup is the only people to have perfect QBR ratings in this stadium are Aaron Rodgers and Baker Mayfield. And Baker not being somebody that's known for his incredible QBR or anything like that. So I just randomly, how does that happen? No other quarterback in the league, especially not a visiting quarterback, having a perfect QBR there. Just Aaron Rodgers and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
well,
it kind of
Baker
stings.
is having, honestly, a career high year.
You said who?
Baker. He's having one of the best years he's ever played. He's what, 4,000 yards?
Not necessarily against your team, Candy, but I feel good for him because just kind of the way Cleveland discarded him. He, whether you like him or not, because I'm a Texas fan, so I hate OU. It took me a little while to kind of get used to Baker, but once he got to Cleveland, I was like, okay, this guy's not that bad. He loves his team, he loved the city, and they just kind of discarded him for somebody. I somewhat understood the move. If Deshaun didn't have all his drama off the field, I would have understood the move completely. But you already tailored this offense around Baker. And that last season that he played for you, I mean, literally his arm was just basically falling off, and he still wanted to go out there and play for you. And obviously that has proven like what type of leader he is. Whenever LA was going through their drama last year with injuries at the QB position, he came in and he played well for them. And ended up getting a starting position out of that performance there in LA. But being that Tampa is like the hottest stadium in the NFL, I wouldn't have imagined in December that those guys would play well in Lambeau, but Baker's leading the team. So
it's hotter than Arizona.
I think it is the hottest stadium.
I know it'll have more humidity than Arizona, but I didn't know that. Okay, sorry.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is the hottest stadium in the NFL.
I'd be surprised if Miami wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that because of all of the. I mean, I could see Tampa Bay, Miami, and Carolina as the most humid.
Well, speaking of Carolina, you guys got your second win. Let's talk about it.
Hey, I'm going to quote Brian Burns here. We know that we are not going to clinch anything this year. However, it was nice to avoid the Falcon season.
Right. Because there was a 3-way tie at first going on in your division. So yes. Saints and Bucks still in it, looking like ATL's not going to be a part of that race, even though they are still only one game behind. Somebody's got to win that division. It's terrible. I mean, and the same thing if you go over to the AFC South, they're not good either. So it's just something about those two divisions. They are now the new. But what's interesting, I think, for you guys is obviously it's going to be one of those where y'all are looking towards the draft. That's what the end of the season is for you guys. Y'all have multiple first-round picks. Bill Belichick is going to be on the table for trade. Thoughts on him possibly coming down to Carolina?
Love it. And I'm going to get a lot of hate and a lot of heat. I think Belichick is one of two coaches that could teach David Tepper how to be a positive and a good owner.
Okay.
He can also get us out of draft hell.
Okay.
He'll bring in the right quarterback coaches. Hopefully somebody brings Chud back. Chudensky did a fantastic job. I don't know why he's sitting at home. Like, Alton and I talk about it all the time. Why are you sitting at home, dude? Like, what is wrong with the NFL? Did you do the cam thing and sleep with somebody's mistress? Seriously. But, I mean, I'm kidding. I'm pretty sure.
Is that what happened? Is that really what happened?
Oh, I have no clue, but it's the only thing that makes sense.
I agree. I like you.
But we need a good coach, but right now I think it's gonna be okay. We have to keep doing that. Okay, I'll let you do it, Megan. Taylor, we were excited about your comments, so we were both trying to put it up.
I think actually logistics are going to play a big factor in where Bill goes. I don't think that he necessarily wants to relocate too far. So I think the top landing spots for him are probably going to be Washington or Carolina, because he would still probably be able to commute and not have to officially move. I wouldn't say. So I think that, I mean, he's 71 years old. That's going to play a factor. So I think going all the way out to Cali and trying to, I just can't see him making a difference in that franchise. So that's my personal opinion on it.
2.5 hour flight from Boston.
Do you think Tomlin's safe? Or do you think Tomlin might be on the chopping block and then there's a spot there, and that's not that far from New England either, though?
That's interesting. I would say out of all the teams that we're talking about, the one that's probably the most safe is Tomlin. But they could they could just decide to go a different way. We heard Ben Roethlisberger say during their broadcast that it just isn't. It felt like they have gotten away from the Steeler way. That is. And Tyler, you bring up a good point. They did get rid of their GM too. Maybe he does want to GM. Who's the GM over there in Carolina?
Fitterer for now.
I mean, I feel like if there was a situation where they would get rid of, or a team being willing to get rid of their GM for Bill Belichick, I would say Panthers is probably one of them.
100%.
They don't mind throwing their money around. So,
yeah, he is. Can he give me some of that? I'm nice. I don't really hate on him. I kind of feel bad for him a little bit.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, David Tepper's biggest problem is he's too invested in the Panthers and he needs to back down. Like, he needs to run the business side. I think he had, by all accounts, the dude has a pretty good heart. And like, he's all about equal opportunities. Like, from like, at least from his social aspect side of things. How he personally feels, I don't know the man, but I think that there's a lot of people calling for Federer's head. Why I said what I said at the beginning is, Tyler, I agree with you. Bill still wants to be a GM and a coach. That's why I said he can get us out of draft hell. Right. I also think that, and I'll reiterate, I think Bill can teach Tepper how to be a better owner. Who's
probably so. I'm not sure who that is. If you'll go to one, you're probably commenting in the group instead of one of our pages. Yeah, if you'll go to Jen or mine or Carrie's actual main page, when you comment, it'll show your name. Hey, Kenny, how are you? For the Cowboys, so we matched up with the Bills in Buffalo this week. It was a blowout. 33-10 from the very first quarter of the game. We looked awful. We looked out of sync. There was not any. Hey, Lamar. All right. It felt very out of sync for the Cowboys. And no excuses. I just think this is one of those, we don't play well. Clearly we don't play well on the road. We're like 3-7 on road games. We're 15-0 at home games. So, when we lost this game, I was like, okay, well, that's the division right there because we are tied with Philly. Philly loses their Monday night football game. So we're still tied. We still have the same record. We're 10-4. Going through, somebody said the Cowboys suck. Okay. They're 10-4. That's not really sucking.
I'm not going to say the Cowboys. Right. You're welcome, Megan. Us beating the Falcons gave you your clinch.
It did. We appreciate that. It kind of takes some of the pressure off, Hey, Mike. Yes, and definitely got whooped. So definitely not running from the criticism. This is a game that I not necessarily thought that we were going to win, but I thought we were going to be competitive in. The way that we lost is what was disheartening, not necessarily just the loss. Going forward, we got to play Miami on the road. I think this is something that brings us back down to earth, brings us back into focusing, and then we go back home and finish out the rest of our season. So we're still very much in the divisional race. I would say Philly still has the advantage over us. On paper, they look like the more complete team. It doesn't seem to really be coming together that way this year for the Eagles for some reason. Not sure why, but even not against Indy anymore. I picked Indy this week. You're correct. You got to learn not to be biased, guys. Y'all are talking about y'all's own teams. Sometimes these picks don't have anything to do with y'all. It have to do with who I think is going to win the game.
Yeah, you got to pick the
And if I'm going to win my pick'ems, it's not personal, guys.
No. Oh, and Wayne, I just went on our page and saw that it was you. You can send me a friend invite if you want, Wayne, and I'll accept you. That way you can comment on our page and your name and your photo will like show up on the page too. Sorry
right,
for interrupting, Megan.
Going back to go over the rest of the game. So starting off, Raiders shocked the Chargers. I picked the Raiders as well. Raiders shocked the Chargers, winning 63-21. Now, this is a game that I think we might have been able to pick either way, but I don't think anybody could have picked this score. Nobody took the overs on this game. Any thoughts on this, or do y'all just want to push on? Because I mean, what do you say to 63-21?
Candy, did you know the Raiders knew how to score 63 points? Because I sure did not. I was questioning they knew how to score all season long.
After that Vikings game, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Sure. No.
Yeah, you know, Lamar, that's true. This was true. Our line's a little bit healthier. I'll say that. They have some injuries, but not in this particular game because the Cowboys had several players that were out due to food illness. So, like I said earlier, though, about this matchup, no excuses. We don't do that. We lost. We absolutely, regardless of the amount of people that we had out, we should have. We still should have been more competitive in that game. We have to find a way to play well in the cold in the last part of the season. Like it's always something that plays a factor in our season. Moving on, we had the Bengals versus the Vikings. This is one of our overtime games. Bengals end up coming on top 27-24 in a battle of backup quarterbacks, which that seems to be the theme this in NFL season. Any thoughts on this game, ladies?
That was the good game on Saturday. Like
that really was a good game.
The triple header on Saturday, and that let us off. And I thought it was a really good game, and to see them battling back like they did, yes. You know.
All right, then we had
he just got tired at the end.
Right.
That's just me because they were winning until like what, fourth quarter.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yep.
All right, then we had the Colts versus the Steelers. In Indianapolis, Colts come out on top 30-13. This was a classic Gardner Minshew game. Great stats by him. I think this, and they had a few people out as well. I feel like Gardner Minshew is the new Fitzpatrick. You're gonna get him. He's gonna perform well at about 60% of the time. Like 7-8 games, he's gonna play well, and those other games, he's not. It's gonna be kind of tough for him. But I think he could be a decent starting quarterback, but he's gonna be an excellent backup wherever he's at. So very, very competent backup. Obviously, what Indianapolis has needed this season, they've been one of the teams that needed a backup quarterback. So good for him. I like the stash a lot. Then we go over to the Broncos versus the Lions. Lions come out on top 42-17. I was kind of on the wave thinking that the Broncos were playing better than that. Like I thought they had kind of figured it out. Detroit smacked them.
It was revenge because Detroit looked bad against the Bears the week before. Right. So they knew they had to come out and save face. So I think that's why they came out with more of a mentality like we've got to go out. We've got things to prove. We got to prove that we were better than Chicago. Let's face it. Chicago started out the year very inconsistent and bad. Everybody thought they were like going to be the worst. And then they've battled back and Chicago's doing a lot better. So when Detroit lost to them and it was an NFC North battle, they're like, and Chicago didn't just beat the Lions. They beat up on them and they made them look bad. So Detroit they had something to prove. They're like, okay, we're prime time Saturday night. We are it. Everybody's eyes are on us. We need to show that we're better than what we represented the week before. They were motivated.
Okay, so Alex, I'll say my MVP right now is Brock Purdy. I don't think he gets enough love or enough of the conversation at all. Had it been last week, I would have said Dak, and in an unbiased manner, because at the time I felt like he looked like the best. Then going into this game against Buffalo, I feel like that game impacted MVP status there. So I think it's got to be Brock. Coach of the year for me, I'll have to think on that one a little bit. Obviously, defensive player of the year. Oh, you said rookies. You ladies can go ahead. I'm gonna think on it a little bit.
Like for the rookie of the year, everybody's gonna be like CJ. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Because he started out so strong. I think he's been injured or sick. Defensive rookie of the year.
That's tough.
That's yeah.
Well, okay.
I will say Dan Campbell, our MVP coach, Dan Campbell. Like everything he has done for the last 3 years up in Detroit. Oh yeah, Melfar Jr. Candy, you can tell him I said that. All right, you can tell him I haven't forgotten that I know. But yeah, I do think that it should be Dan Campbell should definitely be in strong consideration.
For me, it's D'Amico Ryan. I think when I think those awards, I think who's done the most with the least. And though Houston does have, I mean, they did very well in their draft pick, obviously. And they have some good pieces on their defense. But other than that, I feel like probably D'Amico Ryan has done the most with the least amount. Like he's had the most impact this season. But also kind of want to shout out the head coach over there in Cleveland. You have found a way to win no matter what has come your way. So honorable mention. I don't think Stefanski wins it, but just kind of shout him out for what he's done this season. All right, so going over to our next game, we had let me see real quick, guys. We had the Giants versus the Saints. Saints come out on top at home, 24-6. Right. Giants were on that DeVito mania. They kind of had to come back down to ground. Do we think that do we think DeVito is going to be any good, or was this just kind of a hot streak?
Do we think who was going to be any good? I'm sorry, I was looking at my pick'em too.
The QB2 for the Giants, DeVito.
I think he's going to be good. I think he's got legs. You know, I mean, let's face it, against Green Bay when he was playing, he ran us all over the field. So I think he's going to use his legs. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be good.
All right, then we had the Browns versus the Bears in Cleveland. Browns come out on top 20-17 in a game that had 5 interceptions. It was a mess of a game, even until the very end, and somehow Joe Flacco manages to win this game. Like I said, this is a team that no matter what they've had happen to them this season, they've still managed to win ball games. Now, do I feel like that is a formula for them to win in the postseason? Absolutely not. But just random, and I mean, good for them that they still managed to win ball games when they've had 5 different quarterbacks this season. So 5, at least 4 for sure, maybe 5. So, and I think that's the limit right there on the amount of quarterbacks that you can have in the season.
You have your emergency backup quarterback though.
Right, but I think they're there. They're at that. So, all right, then we had your game, Panthers versus the Falcons. Panthers get their second win, 9-7. Then we had the Bucks versus the Packers. Bucks come out on top, 34-20 in Lambeau. Then we had the Jets versus the Dolphins. Jets don't score a point, 30-0. So last week we had was it DeVito that got player of the week for the NFC? And then for the AFC, Zach Wilson got player of the week. And then the very next day, New York announces that they're going to be going their separate ways from Zach Wilson after this season. Then he only played a couple of plays in this game. Why would you move on from Zach Wilson when he had an amazing game before that?
And he's shown so much improvement under the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Like,
I know it's not what they expected.
My father. But the Jets are quarterback purgatory. Like, Matt Rule gave the Jets a run for their money with that. I'm not going to lie. But because Matt Rule, you suck, and I'm glad you're back at school. I just went back from Nebraska. But the owner's he's cracky. Something's cracked up here. So I'm calling him Cracky. That's my nickname for him. Cracky.
Alex, that I actually say that hold on, sorry, my computer's not doing right. For me, I don't think Kyler Murray should be in the NFL. So I think you move on from him. I think he's shown you that he's very unserious. Even in these games where he's played well, they have won a few ball games more than we probably anticipated at the beginning of this season. But I think his attitude just says so much about it. Like, you start playing well when you're on audition, when you're auditioning for other teams, but you can't be there for your team. I don't know. I don't like Kyler. I think you move on from him. Go to the MLB. So, yeah, no, I agree, Lamar. They have been so disrespectful to Zach Wilson. In the game where he got Player of the Week, he had 5 touchdowns last week.
Yeah.
And then the very next day, and he was in the game where Aaron Rodgers was still, obviously he was hurt, but he was in the stadium. Aaron Rodgers was there. I think he was helping get Zach, get his mind right, get him oriented with the team, and kind of get in the locker room back. Like, I think you have maybe 1 to 2 seasons with Aaron Rodgers. He's just sit Zach behind him. Like, I mean, he knows how to do that. He had Jordan Love behind him there in Green Bay. He sat behind Brett Favre. Like, he literally knows what to do. Does he have a great personality? No, but I mean, he is definitely a good leader. And so if there was anybody that you could have train your QB that's up and coming, because it's only his 2nd season. Is that right? Zach Wilson's only his 2nd season.
Third?
Like, I don't think that you're
his third. Wait, then he would still be in his rookie contract.
I was going to say, what contract are we in, and when is his contract up?
He's still in his rookie contract.
He is on his rookie contract, yeah. Maybe it's his 3rd season, but I think it's his 2nd season. But I mean, I could be wrong. So then I would, if I'm the Jets, I would not be ready to hit the button and say, hey, this is not our franchise guy. Like, why? Now, I understand last year didn't go well, and there's been some games that didn't go well this season too, but there have been improvements, and this is not going to be the season you thought it was going to be regardless, because Aaron Rodgers isn't out there.
So Zach Wilson started the Jets in 2021.
Oh, okay.
All right. You were right, Megan. This is his 2nd year.
That's what I thought.
So how are they getting out of his rookie contract?
What they announced was they have decided to part ways mutually, so they're going to trade him.
Okay.
Then going to our next game.
We don't want you here, so
I don't know. Going on to our next game, we had the Chiefs playing the Patriots. Chiefs come out on top, 27-17. I don't think anybody expected any different for that game.
Oh, but Taylor did make Kelsey some homemade cinnamon buns before the game as a pregame snack.
Okay.
That came across my newsfeed earlier. Sorry.
All right.
I want to interrupt you real quick. And Alex, per your question, I don't know. I honestly don't know. So much in Arizona is broken. Is trading your quarterback the right option? I don't know. Get the right people around your QB. But this is coming from a team that actually knows how to beat the Cardinals. So, like, I mean, I'm not wanting to be biased. We just know how to beat them with or without Kyler. So,
I mean, I'll say this about Kyler. He's a good athlete. I mean, you don't get drafted by 2 different professional leagues and not be a good athlete. I do think that his size is a hindrance. That's why he would be better in the MLB. And lastly, his attitude. I think he shows you that he's not serious about it. And for me, I would be ready to move on. All right, then going to our next game, another overtime game. We had the Texans versus the Titans. Titans end up losing at home to the Texans, 19-16, in a game where they were trolling so hard They had their uniforms out as Oilers. They had the whole stadium decked out as Oilers. Incredibly disrespectful to the Texans and their fans, and they end up losing in overtime. I think that's what you get sometimes when you talk mess. It doesn't work out that way. Mm-hmm. All right, then we had the Niners versus the Cardinals. Niners come out on top 45-29. Then we had the Commanders versus the Rams. Rams ended up winning 28-20. We talked about the Cowboys and the Bills game. Then we had the Ravens on Sunday Night Football versus the Jags. They were in Duval, but Baltimore came out on top 23-7. Monday Night Football game. Eagles end up losing in Seattle to the Seahawks, and Drew Lock as their quarterback, 20-17. This is a game. What do you ladies think this implications is for this Eagles team? Now, their quarterback was not healthy. He was ill, but decided to play through that game. What do we think is going on with Philadelphia?
So there's Candy, you go first, and I'll go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say there's a couple of things at play here. First, everybody always forgets how loud Seattle is.
Oh yeah, it's one of the loudest stadiums.
You can't hear. Like, I think it is the loudest, and like they still pump in like extra noise too. So it's not just the fans. Right. I think a couple of years ago the NFL actually like told them to stop. But also Jalen was sick because he traveled separately from the team. The Seahawks love nothing more than mind games. Like every single one of us has had our team affected by the Seahawks, like, and them trying to play what Ohio State receiver, but do y'all know which one he's talking about?
I will say this. I'm going to take Cincy. I cannot believe how good their backup quarterback is. Y'all win out. That's what I feel like. Like unbelievable run that you guys are having with a backup quarterback. So I think we see Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh is sitting at 7-7 right now. They've never had a losing season under Tomlin. I still think that this could be that season. But I mean, all they need is one more win or two more wins, 2 more wins. And then that's not the case. So we'll see what happens with them. But I think Cincy wins this matchup.
But back to Seattle. I mean, because Seattle did not even announce who the starting quarterback was officially until 10-15 minutes before the game.
Well, because it was raining. And so his injury is a groin injury. That's what Gino's dealing with right now. And the turf was starting to kind of separate a little bit. And they just said they didn't want to risk it.
And I'm fine with that. I'm always fine with protecting the athlete.
Yeah, it was Gino's older.
But they love playing mind games.
Right. He's 31 years old. I think that you're probably looking forward to next season because you're not winning the division this year. You are still in the hunt, but you're probably not going to make the playoffs. But there's still some bright spots there. So I think you preserve Gino. You only gave him a 3-year contract. So this is year 1 of that is gone. And you focus on year 2 and year 3 and what you can do because there are some bright spots. And even with Drew Lock leading the way, Seattle's not chumps, clearly. So I don't know if that says more about the state of Philly than it actually does Seattle, because I feel like that says a lot. It puts into question how Philadelphia finishes the rest of their season. Well, all Dallas needs is for them to go 2-2 and us to go 3-1. That's it, you know.
To me, I don't know. I don't always feel like the Seahawks game at home is a fair. Because I will say, yeah. I mean, it's like impossible to hear. But that being said, and I'm going to shut up so Candy can speak. But I mean, the Eagles, their second half is getting better. Their first half is getting a little weaker.
Okay.
They need a full game of strength.
Okay.
I think Seattle needed it more. And I think sometimes, if you look at it, Philadelphia is 10-4, like Seattle is 7-7. And at home. And I think just those couple of things gave him the edge. And with Jalen not feeling his normal, that made a difference. And I think, so yeah, Seattle's a tough place to play.
So starting off for week 17 on Thursday, we will have the Saints versus the Rams in LA. That'll start off week 16 for us. All right, so we'll slide over to our other topics real quick so we can get out of here. Jen, do you want to talk to us about the topic with Chance Comanche, and then I will finish up with Kim.
So yeah, so you guys heard, I'm sure, kind of rattled the whole world, even if you haven't heard our whole NBA world, even if you haven't heard of Chance Comanche. But on December 5th, the Sacramento Kings G League had a game in Las Vegas against the Vegas G League, right? And Comanche played, because that's who he plays for, is the Sacramento Kings G League. And he has a 19-year-old girlfriend, or had. Girlfriend has a history, and she actually had a warrant out for her arrest, which is how she got busted, because she and Comanche went and kidnapped a lady, and she's dead now. Harden, wait, hold on. Harden, Comanche's girlfriend, is 19, and she's the one who was arrested first for kidnapping and murder. She was arrested 2 days before he was, so obviously she rolled on him. But my thing is, depending on the time of death, what kind of trouble would Comanche be in?
Right.
Miss Rogers just looked like she was completely full of life. She was a nurse. She tried to help people. She had purpose in life. She just gone to Vegas for the weekend with her friends.
Well, we don't know a whole lot of details yet. This is something that's obviously still developing. When we first kind of picked up on this story, all we knew was that the FBI had picked him up, and we were all kind of like, okay, well, this is super serious. And being across state lines, that's going to be an issue, you know. So as it develops, we will continue to talk about this story. Then we also had Kim Mulkey getting ejected this weekend. LSU girls were playing the Northwestern State girls. They were up 71-30. Anisha Morrow gets called for a charge, the correct call. And Kim just didn't like it. She got a double text. She got ejected. She even said in the press conference afterwards that she told the ref, "You're going to have to eject me." I just don't understand it. It was something where her star, Angel Reese, was holding her back. I don't think that that's a positive. Yeah, I roll. That's exactly what I think. I don't mind ejections. I'm a Spurs fan, y'all know. So, and Pop, it's not an NBA season if Pop doesn't get ejected at least twice. But there's reasons that go behind that. You want to rally your team. That's kind of the reason you want to get ejected. What were they rallying? They were up by 41 points. I think that you just showed a really shitty example of how to carry yourself with some impressionable young ladies, you know? So, and young people, let me put it that way, because I could care less if it was ladies or guys. I just don't think that's a very good example. I believe that female athletes, female coaches should be able to express themselves the same way that men do. I don't like the criticism that they get about, oh, they're too emotional or act like a lady. That's not the case here. It's just, I think that those ladies are young, and there was no point. There was nothing to go behind this ejection. Right. Like, one, it was the correct call, and two, y'all were winning by 41. What's the problem?
Right. She just wanted to show her ass, in my opinion. I do just have some breaking news.
As Kim loves to do. Her comment was that she hadn't been ejected in 3 years and it was time.
Yeah, she just wanted to get ejected.
Why?
She's been asked enough where it
matters, or at a time when it matters. Correct.
Right. Do it at a time where it matters, you know? So it was just one of those where I thought it was pointless, and it was just Kim being Kim. So
yeah. So breaking news, and then we know Candy has her next show. But John Morant did make his season debut against the Pelicans tonight.
Yes.
that
Yes,
just
I'm glad to see he's back. I know Silver said that they had something in place where they had several goals that he had to meet in order for him to come back, and he did all that. So glad he's able to come back. This was a question that I saw, and maybe we'll talk about it next week, of is Ja Morant enough to get the Grizzlies to the playoffs? So we will talk about that probably not next week because it's the holiday, but maybe the week after that. Hope everybody has a fabulous Christmas, and we will see you guys the week after that.
Yes, everybody check out Candy's next show too.
Have a great Christmas, and buy Scott's book. Go to Amazon.
Oh yeah, buy Scott's book.
What's the name of it?
Scott. Lessons from the Microphone. Amazon or Kindle.
Awesome.